Hi, my name is Timothy Martin. My friends call me Bubs. I'm a veteran with the United States Marine Corps, and I am a member of the Paralyzed Veterans of America, Chapter Wisconsin. I am also a service-connected disabled veteran. Kunes Mobility has asked me to do this video in hopes that it will help inform veterans and their families about what benefits from the VA they may be eligible for. I personally know that the benefits that the VA offers veterans can be very life-changing. I have experienced myself and with the countless veterans I interact with. Anything I can do to help my fellow veterans learn about and receive the benefits that they have service has earned them, I will do. Before I speak about the two specific programs in the VA offers for adaptive equipment and vehicles, I need to tell you up front and as clearly as I can that the absolute best way for you to learn about benefits that you may be eligible for is to reach out to those who can help you. There is no way that I can tell you, yes, you will qualify, or no, you will not. This is important that you reach out to those that you can share your own personal situation with, and they can offer you the different directions you need to go. I mentioned when I introduced myself that I am a member of the Paralyzed Veterans, the PVA in Wisconsin. Well, within the PVA, we have what we call a National Service Officer. Her name is Brenda Stencil. Brenda is a wonderful person, a veteran herself, and a part of her job, in fact, the essential part of her job, is to know what benefits veterans are qualified for, and she helps them get what they have earned. Now, I know I am biased, and I think Brenda is awesome, but that doesn't mean that you have to join the PVA and work with Brenda. Pretty much every veterans service organization like the Disabled American Veterans, American Legion, VFW, and so on, have had national service officers. All of them will be able to work with you and guide you through the process. Kunes Mobility has done some legwork for you, and after you finish watching this video, you can click on and listen of veteran service organizations and see which one may want to reach out to. But here is a better idea. How about reaching out to Kunes Mobility? You can make Kunes Mobility your first call, and then they can guide you to the right veteran organization or the VA directly. I cannot stress enough that you do not have to go through this alone. The VA can be confusing and complicated, and you will find navigating it so much better, so much easier if you reach out to the professionals who are dedicated to helping you to get you what you have earned. Now that I have cleared that up, now that you know what I am about to share with you and your benefits that you need to know if you qualify for, how about if I tell you about the two programs, the VA programs for wheelchair accessibility vehicles and adaptive equipment? The first program I want to talk to you about is the Automotive Adaptive Grant. It is often referred to as the VA as the 4502 grant, which is the VA form that must be completed and authorized to be eligible for that benefit. As with all VA benefits, there are requirements that your conditions must meet to be eligible. I'm not going to give you the comprehensive list and requirements, but I'm going to give you the major ones first. First, your disability must be mobility related. It doesn't necessarily mean you must be using a wheelchair or scooter, but that is usually the case. It does strengthen your chance for eligibility for one of the two programs if the VA has issued your mobility device like a scooter, wheelchair, or power wheelchair. This isn't a guarantee, mind you, but it does strengthen your chances. Next, the disability rating must be 100%. We all know that as a veteran, you're very likely to have multiple disability ratings for your eyesight, hearing. Mobility could be 20%, 70%, and 30%, respectively. This adds up to 120%, but that does not equal 100% mobility related. And finally, your disability must be related to your service and must be a service-connected disability. Now, that doesn't mean your disability had to occur while you were on active duty, just that it has to be connected to your service. For example, the VA considers ALS to be a service-connected disability. Most likely, if you've had ALS and it does not show up when you were on active duty but manifested years later, decades later, doesn't matter. The VA says it's a service-connected. Multiple sclerosis can be considered the same thing, service-connected. So those are the three major qualifications: mobility-related, 100%, and service-connected. If you know that you meet these three requirements, you really need to reach out to Kunes Mobility and start the process. So what is the 4502 grant? Well, it is the best described by breaking it up into three separate elements. I will describe these elements as a chassis, the conversion and equipment, and then finally the frequency in which you can exercise the benefits. Let's talk about the chassis. A wheelchair accessible vehicle is looked at as two distinctly different things: the chassis and the conversion. The chassis is the vehicle and the conversion is built on. Most commonly, this is a minivan like a Toyota Sienna or a Chrysler Pacifica. The first benefit of the 4502 program is the grant that is applied to the cost of the chassis. The current amount as of October 1st, 2024 is $26,000 change. This amount is applied to the cost of the chassis or vehicle. Most minivans nowadays cost $40,000 or more. The 4502 grant won't cover all of that, but a little over $26,000 does go a long way for the down payment. The amount of the grant is tied to the cost of living index, so it is adjusted every year in October. This part of the benefit has gone through some changes lately. Since the benefit was created, the 4502 grant for the chassis was once in a lifetime benefit. You were awarded the chassis allowance, and once you use it, it was never to be used again. That changed a couple years ago, and now there is the potential that you can use once every 10 years. I cannot stress this enough. Figuring your eligibility is very tricky, so you definitely want to work with Kunes Mobility and the National Service Officer before you go shopping for a new van. So that is the first part of the 4502 grant for the chassis. Now let's talk about the second part, the conversion and the equipment. Much like the chassis allowance, it's referenced to the 4502 grant named after the VA form. This part of the benefit is referenced to the 1394, referencing, you guessed it, the VA form that must be completed and authorized. This part of the benefit is really easy to explain. For veterans who qualify for this benefit, they will be evaluated by somebody in physical medicine and rehab. Most often that would be a driver evaluated by, in some cases, it could be a physical or an occupational therapist to determine what they need. The medical professionals will complete a prescription of what is needed. The most often includes the conversion itself and also many additional equipment like hand controls or wheelchair systems. The cost of this item is covered by the benefit at 100%. If it is on the prescription saying that the veteran has a medical need for it, well, it is covered at 100% with no cost to the veteran. A conversion can cost over $40,000, and the equipment can add another $5,000 to $10,000 or more, and the 1394 benefit covers 100% of it. The final element of the 4502 grant benefits I need to cover is the frequency in which you can use it. I mentioned earlier the first element, the chassis, the grant for around $26,000 used to be once in a lifetime benefit. is now a once every 10-year benefit. Well, the $13.94 benefit for the conversion and the equipment used to be able to be used twice in 4-year period with little to no restrictions that change on October 1st, 2024. Here is how it works now. A qualified veteran can still use the benefit twice in a 4-year period, but there is now a new very important limitation. The veteran can no longer trade in their existing vehicle until they have owned it for at least 4 years. That means a veteran can still get a second vehicle in a 4-year time frame, but they cannot trade in a vehicle until they have owned it for at least 4 years. To wrap up the 4502 Auto Adaptive Grant, I want to say this. For my fellow veterans who sacrificed their mobility in a service to our country, this is a great benefit. If managed properly, once the initial gap between what the chassis costs and what the 4502 grant covers is made up, veterans who qualify should never have a wheelchair accessible vehicle that is more than 4 years old and should never have another car payment to make. It is a great benefit that organizations like the PVA, the DAV, and others have fought to get you. The 4502 grant is reserved only for service-connected disabled veterans who have 100% mobility disability rating. Truth be told, most veterans will not meet the qualifications for that benefit. But that does not mean, however, that they may not meet the qualifications for the second benefit and the VA offers for wheelchairs, accessibility vehicles, and equipment. There is a second benefit that the veteran who does not qualify for the 4502 may be qualifying for in the reference to the ingress-egress benefit. The ingress-egress benefit is for the veteran whose disability is either not service-connected or if the service-connected is not 100% mobility-related. Even more, so then the 4502 benefit, it is critical that the veteran who wants to find out if they qualify for the ingress-egress benefit seek out assistance. This benefit is closely scrutinized, or it would be very inappropriate for me to anyone else to give you the impression that it is a benefit that is handed out freely. Each veteran individually, circumstances are evaluated to see what the best and the most cost-effective way to meet their needs. The best way to summarize the VA's egress benefit is to use this. If a veteran has been issued a mobility device by the VA that can be a scooter, a manual or power wheelchair, or even a veteran using a mobility device that they've got elsewhere, but the VA maintains that the VA may make accommodations for the veteran to make sure they can get themselves and the mobility device to their appointments at the VA. First, the VA may make accommodations. Each situation is unique, and many VA interpret the administrator this benefit differently. Second, what does make accommodations mean? Well, it can mean a lot of things. It may mean the VA has accessible transportation that the VA can use so they won't assist with the purchase of a personal solution for the veteran. Or the VA can publicly transport can be used for a personal vehicle is not needed. Finally and honestly, this is the most common approach taken by the VA. Is there a way to transport the mobility device in a non-modified vehicle with something like a lift? The staff at the VA is going to look at the most cost-effective solution that meets the needs of the veteran. If a veteran does qualify for this egress benefit for the vehicle conversion, Here is what that means. First, it is the responsibility of the veteran to purchase a chassis that can be converted. Unlike the 4502 grant, the VA offers no assistance in the purchase of the chassis. Second, the benefit does not cover anything related to the adaptive driving. This means things like the hand controls will not be covered. Finally, this is the most always a once-in-a-lifetime benefit. It is not always there are exceptions, but for the most part, it is a once-in-a-lifetime benefit. I want to close with what I've mentioned in a couple of times already, but I want to emphasize it one more time before I finish personally. I am pretty well-informed veteran. I am an active veteran with the PVA, American Legion, and other VSOs. I received benefits from the VA, and I know what to do, how to get help from Brenda and the National Service Office for the PVA. Why wouldn't I? She knows her stuff, and it makes things easier for me, and Brenda is not alone. Many veteran service organizations have a National Service Officer like her on staff. There are also veteran officers in every county, and like I mentioned before, reach out to the folks at Kunes Mobility and let them advocate for you as well. You served and sacrificed to protect our country. Well, you did. Your nation made you a pledge to you. Please, you kept your pledge by serving with honor. Now let us keep our pledge to you by reaching out to us so we can help you get what you have earned. God bless America. God bless our troops, and God bless our veterans.